I think we're seeing a lot of these birth pangs that Jesus spoke of, but we're also seeing this alignment of Russia, Iran, Turkey, and other countries forming this alliance against Israel.
Within the storied landscapes of Israel, a divine hand appears to guide its path, firmly ensconced as the chosen nation in the tapestry of biblical prophecies. This sacred land, where ancient promises intricately weave through contemporary challenges, stands poised as the threshold of a profound possibility: the resurrection of the Third Temple. This prospect ignites passionate discourse and sparks geopolitical tensions that stretch far beyond its borders. With each discovery, whether concealed archaeological treasures or hallowed cleansing sites, the intricate puzzle of Israel's destiny takes form before our eyes. Join us for an enthralling exploration of what Israel possesses. The Bible makes it quite plain that in the last days before the rapture of the church, there will be 4 mighty rulers who will run onto the world stage with 2 different goals in mind: to achieve complete dominion over the earth and establish themselves as absolute rulers. These dictators will deprive you of your rights and liberties. They will take away your constitutional rights, and you will be treated as property by the state. They will make you their slaves. To win the battle against Israel and wipe out the Jewish people, their objective is to establish authority over the city of Jerusalem and to have everything ready for the inauguration of the Antichrist. At the moment, Israel is hemmed in on all sides by countries that are yelling for its destruction. Anti-Semitism is on the rise across Europe and the U.S., and is sometimes praised and welcomed in liberal institutions by our younger generation. Synagogues belonging to Jews are being desecrated and burned down, while their community members are being murdered as they pray inside of them. This is happening all over the world. It is without a doubt a revolting sight to behold. This enormous prophetic and geopolitical drama is currently playing out across the main pages of each day's news feed that you are following. The Gog-Magog War, which is prophesied in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, has begun. This war marks the beginning of a succession of hostilities that will eventually result in what many people would refer to as World War III, and which will envelope the entire world. Armageddon is the name given to it in the Bible. It is not necessary to have in-depth knowledge of geopolitics in order to recognize that the state of our planet is deteriorating rapidly. The world as we know it is rapidly coming to an end as a result of our actions. The beast that arises out of the sea is described in Revelation chapter 13. In the context of prophecy, the sea refers to the countries and nations of the world. John is explaining to us that he is presently considering all of the countries of the world. The impending end of the world is about to be revealed, and John is pulling back the curtain on time to do it. This is something that was predicted more than 2,000 years ago, and it is finally becoming a reality in our era. The latest on the Third Temple's construction. Rebuilding the temple is an integral component of the future that has been promised to the Jewish people and the land of Israel, according to those who take the Bible at its word. The following is a quote from Jeremiah's description of the new covenant for Israel. In the future, the Lord promises, "I will bring to pass the good word that I have promised concerning the house of Israel and the house of Judah. A virtuous branch of David will emerge at that time, and he will rule the world with justice and righteousness. In those times, Judah will be delivered and Jerusalem will be a haven of peace, and she will be known as, 'The Lord is our righteousness.' For thus says the Lord, there shall never be without a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel, and the Levitical priests shall never lack a man before me to present burnt offerings, to burn grain offerings, and to prepare sacrifices perpetually. In the Messianic age, all of Israel will be redeemed, and they will return to their ancient homeland. A blameless Davidic heir, the Messiah, will rule from Jerusalem at that time, and the temple will be rebuilt with its original Levitical priesthood in place. Is there any evidence that Israel is currently making plans for a third temple, assuming that this will happen in the future? The restoration of the Third Temple has been planned by the Temple movement since 1987, and attempts to make this a reality in the 21st century have been making gradual but steady headway ever since. As a spiritual endeavor, the reconstruction of the temple is not something that Orthodox Jews want secular Israelis or Jews living in the diaspora to contribute to. The religious organization that oversaw halachic problems pertaining to the temple was reestablished by Orthodox Jews, who are also committed to seeing it reconstructed properly. For Orthodox Jews, the reestablishment of the temple is crucial because in their view, it is only then that the world will be redeemed. Gershon Salomon is in charge of the Temple Mount Faithful, a group that has been holding demonstrations at the temple site, laying a cornerstone for the Third Temple and creating a wide variety of utensils related to the temple in an effort to get Israeli society ready to accept and promote the rebuilding of the temple. Salomon has stated, "Building the third temple is an act which must be done to complete the redemption of the people of the Bible in the land of the Bible. Without the Temple Mount at its heart, I cannot fathom the existence of the Israeli state or the Israeli way of life in Israel." Many devout Jews, however, disagree with this plan because they have internalized a spiritualized postmodern outlook that rejects any possibility of a physical fulfillment of the biblical predictions about the Third Temple. They are fine with Muslims now occupying and administering the Temple Mount. They blame the disappearance of the Shekinah, divine presence, for the Jewish people's failure to reach the spiritual heights God intended. There is a link between the need for a new level of spiritual attainment and the rebuilding of the temple, according to Rabbi Chaim Richman, director of the Temple Institute, which has produced all the ritual vessels necessary for the function of the temple and works to train priests for this future work. The Shekinah is brought about only through the temple. To fulfill our mission as a nation, we need the temple more than anything. Rebuilding the temple is the sole solution, according to Orthodox Jews who are dedicated to the cause, to the challenges of the world and the Jewish people. A new Jewish temple? Is progress being made today on restoring the temple? Israel's claims to any part of Jerusalem, let alone the Temple Mount, are met with widespread international opposition. In practice, Jews are forbidden by Israeli legislation to pray at the site, and Muslims, including the women in black, keep a continual surveillance on Jewish presence there and harass visitors on a daily basis. The Islamic authorities also claim there was never a temple there. Recent advances, however, have helped the temple movement achieve its goals and make it possible to restore the temple in our day. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, which Muslims believe was constructed by Abraham, is on the site of a Jewish ritual cleansing site, which researchers uncovered decades ago in response to the allegation of denying a Jewish temple ever existed on the site. British archaeologist Robert Hamilton provided proof of this in a paper detailing his investigations of the mosque's foundations following its destruction by an earthquake in 1927. He uncovered the remnants of a Jewish mikveh beneath the mosque's floor. It was used by Jews for ritual immersion before accessing the Temple Mount complex during the Second Temple era. These discoveries, which were buried in the British mandatory archives because they would offend Muslim officials, prove that the old temple was located on the site of the current Temple Mount, a holy site for Jews. The Sanhedrin has done what it needs to do to get things ready for temple services to resume. The group has been working on a number of different projects, one of which is planting the forest described in the Bible to provide for the Third Temple's agricultural needs. Speaking for the Sanhedrin, Rabbi Hillel Weiss said, "When people think about sacrifices, they think about animals and blood, but most were from plants grown around Israel." A member of the Sanhedrin, Rabbi Richman, has been at the helm of efforts to bring the holy red heifer back to Israel. According to Numbers 19, the red heifer's ashes diluted in water are required for Jewish ritual purification before they can perform temple services. Only 9 red heifers were ever utilized to make the waters used to purify Jews between the time of the First and Second Temples, a period of around 1,000 years. Jewish belief holds that the Messiah will employ the 10th. Together with an Israeli cattleman who is an expert in the science of animal husbandry, Richman and other rabbis of the Temple Institute are giving halachic oversight and assistance. Through this method, he is introducing genetic material from North American red Angus cattle into Israeli domestic cattle. In order to participate in the red heifer rite, a heifer must be born in the land of Israel and cannot have ever been yoked. This work represents the conclusion of years of study at the Temple Institute, where old religious texts were combined with cutting-edge scientific methods. Reenactments of temple ceremonies are used by the Sanhedrin and the temple movement to educate the Kohanim, the priestly caste. A newly built altar of burnt offerings is used as part of the instruction, along with ritual objects made specifically for the Third Temple. Because the people of Israel are obligated to construct an altar only on the site of the first altar on Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, this altar is one of a kind in that it was built to be dismantled and rapidly reconstructed in its current permanent location. In due time, it will be rebuilt atop the Temple Mount so that sacrifices might once again be offered. To Orthodox Jews dedicated to reconstructing the temple, this is the only way to solve the issues of the world and the Jewish people. The technology of making biblical crimson, long thought lost, was rediscovered by the Temple Institute not too long ago. This dye was used in the combination that was used to color the clothes of the high priest and the parashet, the huge curtain that separated the Holy of Holies from the holy place in the temple. In modern Israel, the crimson color may be extracted from the eggs of the Tola Achani by Bar Ilan University professor Zohar Amar. While the temple movement continues to make preparations for the reconstruction of the temple, most members of the movement are aware that some sort of political action needs to take place in order to change the current situation in which Muslims rule the Mount, and make it possible for Jews to access the site. It's possible that this is happening right now. In its judgment opinion on the issue of the works of the Temple Mount, the Supreme Court of Israel made the following statement in reference to the location. The situation on the Temple Mount is by no means straightforward. It is exceedingly sensitive and difficult all at the same time. This is one of those situations in which a judicial ruling is not a rational approach to decide the disagreement, and a decision of this sort goes beyond the limitations of the law. In other words, a ruling of this kind violates the law. It is the political echelon and not the court that is responsible for giving content and significance to the historical appeal that the Temple Mount is ours. In other words, this should not be a legal action but rather a political one. Those who comprehend Daniel's prophecy of the 70th week are aware that it is a future political leader, the Antichrist of Revelation 13, who will one day forge a deceitful pact with the Jewish leaders, leading to the rebuilding of the Third Temple. Those who comprehend this prophecy are also aware that this will occur in the future. How could something like this occur? An academic book on the politics of the Temple Mount mentioned one of the possibilities as follows. Given the emphasis upon the international community's interest in the sites, under the concept of heritage of humankind, representatives from the international community need to be included as mediators and guarantors. These are the words from the book. These would most likely originate from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and they would be called from regional powers like the Arab League and NATO, as well as interested states like the US, the European Union, and Russia. Any proposed legal framework will necessitate cooperation between different faiths and will demand participation from regional religious authorities. It might be complemented by religious leaders from other countries all around the world who could act as mediators. Those who seek an understanding of biblical prophecy are aware that the Antichrist will be followed by political and religious leaders, which will result in the actualization of a proposition such as this one. As we eagerly anticipate the return of our Messiah, it is thrilling to witness these developments unfold in the land of Israel in reference to the construction of a third temple. That's all for the video today. We will be right back with more. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.